What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have liked and sub, and let's get into this. Well, episode 7 is out, the penultimate episode of the Acolyte, and it's getting about the reception you would think it would. I mean, even Grace Randolph said it was bad. So when Grace Randolph has a good take, you know the world is ending. So let's see just how much this broke, or maybe reinvigorated with hatred, the poor critical drinker, the one and only critical drinker.
Power 1.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Power 2.
You go and do something like this.
She turned into a black mortis smoke dark side monster. Mm-hmm.
And totally proved me right.
Yes.
You know, watching The Acolyte is like some bizarre form of self-inflicted torture. Reaching the end of another episode is like waking up on my kitchen floor in a pool of my own bodily fluids after a 3-day bender, only to realize that it's not my kitchen floor when the real owners of the house discover me and just won't stop screaming. Not only is The Acolyte a laughably terrible...
The difference is Drinker will probably have that experience several more times, but I don't think he'll be experiencing this again.
Piece of media that further tarnishes the reputation of a brand existing on life support at this point. Not only does it squander hundreds of millions of dollars that could have been used to fund far more deserving projects, and not only is it one of the worst showcases of every amateur hour writing failure imaginable, but unlike the aforementioned 3-day bender that ends up on a kitchen floor, it doesn't even provide any enjoyment before the soul-crushing regret kicks in. It's just crap, plain and simple.
More smoke monsters. Coral was a Sith, by the way. And by the way, when I say that very loosely, there's no Sith. We have not seen one single Sith yet in this goddamn series. They've all just been either dark side force witches or Boo Boo Bee Chimere. He is not a Sith. He got kicked out of the Jedi, and he got kicked out by a Sith. Even if they were one, it's probably Coral. Yeah, no Sith in this town.
Oh well, at least we've made it to the penultimate episode now. An episode which finally provides the answers that you already knew to questions that you never even wanted to ask. So let's get right into it, shall we? The episode once again finds us back on the planet of the communist lesbian space witches 16 years ago, this time retelling events from the Jedi perspective. And if you're expecting some big mind-blowing revelation that totally recontextualizes everything that happened in episode 3, then prepare for disappointment. Anyway, the episode picks up with Squid Game Guy and the others mooching around the planet, scanning moss and things for like 7 weeks straight. Why? That's a very good question, and one which Token White Guy decides to ask around the campfire one evening, because of course we need to be reminded that he's a whiny little bitch that just wants to go home.
And even when you find out what they're there for, it's like, maybe, fine, not 7 weeks, not a fucking metal detector. Why does the Wookiee have a metal detector? That's what probe droids are for. You would have sent out a droid. You would have scanned the planet. You'd have seen the life signs.
What if only I knew that what we were doing was somehow important or meaningful?
Wait, you've been here for almost 2 months and nobody told you why you're here or what you're looking for? What the hell have you even been scanning for all this time then? Also, this mission really feels like the kind of menial, time-consuming task that should have been assigned to probe droids or something.
Bro, exactly. Or a survey team. Now, granted, you find out what they're actually there for is they're looking for a virgins in the Force, but took you 7 weeks before you spoke up and said that why are Jedi Knights fucking taking water samples?
Instead of an entire squad of Jedi, it's the Star Wars equivalent of sending a platoon of Navy SEALs in to clean up garbage from a local beach.
Go take plant samples from the Galapagos Islands. Like, what?
I'm pretty sure they've got more important things to be doing. Anyway, it turns out that they're looking for a virgins in the Force, which for some reason, Token White Guy has never even heard of before. I mean, isn't this the kind of thing that you're supposed to be trained in? Were you off sick the day they taught Padawans about the Force?
Yes.
Nah, whatever. So Squid Game Guy gets tired of their shit and goes off by himself.
And here's where the money went. the goddamn speeder scenes. 180 million for speeder scenes.
And immediately spots the terrible twins from the start of episode 3. Wow, lucky he happened to run into the only other people on the entire surface of the planet at this precise moment.
Well, isn't that convenient
It was the will of the Force.
for you?
Then he follows them back to their gigantic mountain dam fortress village monastery thing and is totally shocked to find that people are living there. You fucking what, mate? This place has got all manner of electric lights, mechanical doors, scanners, and a power generator the size of my entire hometown. This really seems like the kind of thing that should have shown up in orbital scans of the planet way before now.
Okay, see, that's what I'm saying. They just don't know how to make TV. They're just bad writing. Again, if you know anything about Star Wars, it's very easy to go, why didn't they just scan the planet? Why didn't they have probe droids? Why?
Not to mention the fact that it's revealed to be a former mining facility, which should have been listed on Republic databases and probably would have been worth checking out just in case. And apart from all...
Though they mentioned Brindock is not a member of the Republic, meaning it's entirely possible the Republic doesn't have records of it, the first two things count. They would have picked up all the energy readings.
That is perched on top of a gigantic fucking mountain. You could probably see it from like 100 miles away. Why is any of this stuff a surprise to anyone? Jesus, we're like 5 minutes in and already the episode's gone completely off the rails. So Squid Game guy summons Trinity and the others, and
his English was even worse in this. I don't know if they shot these first and like maybe he got better at doing it, but all of a sudden it was like, what? I normally don't have a problem understanding, but he said a couple of things. It was like, bro.
He wants to go all in as a group because he's worried about the terrible twins or something. But Trinity's like, nah, that's a bad idea because a show of force right now might provoke an armed conflict. But he's like, oh, please. And she's like, okay then. Nice to see you sticking to your guns there, lady. Then strong female character number 4 gets into token white guy's head, and there's a really weird scene where it seems like she's trying to force herself on him while he cries about it. An older predator abusing their power to seduce an unwilling young victim while everyone else around them pretends not to notice? Write what you know, eh, Leslie? Anyway, eventually they get to test the terrible twins and
And Torben basically let her into his mind. When she said Neil, that was when his eyes fully came over black because he just wants to go back to Coruscant.
White guy discovers that they're the virgins in the Force that the group's been sent here to find. So he does the logical thing and immediately hops on a speeder bike to go abduct them from the mountain dam fortress village monastery thing. But oh no, strong female character number 5 decides to turn evil and tells strong female antagonist to get really angry and...
I mean, she didn't turn. This has been this bitch from the beginning. I called it the first episode where she was the domineering one. She's the one that physically carried them. This is Kymir's master, Quemir, whatever we're calling him. This is the only other dark sider we're going to see. No Sith. This is just a force switch using the dark side.
Kill everyone, and so she does.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I really don't think you've thought through the implications of this one, strong female character number 5. So there's a big tense standoff with strong female character number 4, who decides the best way to de-escalate this extremely tense situation is to turn into a lesbian space witch.
And it looked like the Mortis Bat demon dark side thing.
It's demon force ghost thing and try to vaporize strong female antagonist.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
So Squid Game guy shoves a lightsaber through her gut and damn, what a turnaround, man. I mean, Sabine Wren got impaled on one of these bad boys and laughed it off the next day, but now they're able to destroy entities that...
It's before we get to that, lightsaber's finally working. I don't know how to explain what she was trying to do. May comes out and says, Mom, help me. Osha's trapped and there's a fire. And she does the thing where she goes out and she turns into a black demon bat butterfly wing thing. And she starts to absorb or turn in. Was she going to transmutate them into black smoke? And then, I don't know. I don't think Leslie knows. I don't think anyone knows.
That don't even physically exist. Writing Star Wars shows is amazing when you don't have to care about anything that happened previously, even in your own show. But she's like, I was trying to let Osha go because I'm actually a good person, don't you know?
I think I can smell shite.
Really? Like, you didn't consider for 1 second that your terrifying transformation into a demon smoke monster might be misinterpreted? How did you expect the guy to react to something like that?
Bro,
Especially when you also tried to disintegrate a young girl that he'd specifically come here to rescue.
Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
Anyway, things soon get worse for Squid Game guy and token white guy when Jedi Wookiee shows up, but he's been possessed by the lesbian space witches.
and this is the dumbest. Fuck. It's like they overdose on force or force reverberation back. Oh, it's so bad.
Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man.
But that's okay, because then Trinity teleports in out of nowhere and forces them out of his Wookiee brain. That's a pretty interesting skill that she probably should have used when they did the same thing to Token White Guy earlier. But I guess because he's not a protected minority like the Wookiee, it doesn't really matter what happens to
Wookiee lives matter, bigot.
him.
Yes, yes.
Either way, all the lesbian space witches die suddenly because the script says so. So much for the power of many. And Squid Game guy and the others escape the planet with strong female protagonist, and then Trinity decides they should just lie about the whole thing and blame it all on strong.
That was such a weird. He's super emotionally compromised. It came to physical blows, altercation. What? Not Jedi. Not Jedi.
Female antagonists. And there you have it, boys and girls, the least unexpected revelation in Star Wars history. The Jedi are actually the bad guys of this story, because of course they are, because the entire purpose of Disney Star Wars at this point is to trample and deconstruct everything that came before them. Just like Han Solo, just like Luke Skywalker, just like the New Republic and the very concept of the Force.
And confirmation that these children, May and Osha, are one spirit split into two bodies created by Anastasia, birthed by Mother Coral, using this Force Nexus, Virgins, that's on the planet. That's what's in that hole that they're, and of course now it's centered on them because they made them, so it's a part of it. Yeah, congratulations. They did what Plagueis and many others couldn't. They created life using the Force. And yeah, there you go. Now it calls into question the legitimacy of Anakin, the Chosen One.
It all has to make way for the new and improved Star Wars, rewritten and reconstructed for modern audiences. You know, it's actually quite impressive just how comprehensively they've managed to fail with this one. Every time I think this show has hit creative and logical bedrock, it somehow finds a way to sink even lower. Every single episode is a masterclass of stupidity, ignoring and contradicting not.
And by the way, now I didn't notice it before. Every time Carrie-Anne Moss was there, I just mole.
Just the rules and lore of the Star Wars universe in general, but even its own story. As usual, character motivations and their entire worldviews can flip on a dime. People are instantly persuaded to do things they were adamantly against just seconds earlier. Characters teleport into scenes with zero explanation precisely when the script needs them to, and new powers and abilities are introduced with no justification or consideration of how they might break the fictional world they're part of. The episode doesn't even manage to implement its own hackneyed ideas properly. The whole concept of this episode is to retell past events from a different point of view, recontextualizing everything we saw and totally changing our perspective on what actually happens. A good 50% of this episode is just re-showing us the same cringe-inducing scenes that we already endured, only from a slightly different camera angle.
I don't think I learned anything new. It just confirmed what we all. The only thing we really learned was that, yeah, they're evil. They turned into dark side smoke monsters.
The other 40% is bland, meaningless conversations between bored-looking actors who are almost certainly going to fire their agents after this, telling us things that we either already knew or didn't care about in the first place. And the remaining 10% is basically a conglomeration of the most contrived, ridiculous writing imaginable, designed purely to get us to an end result with no thought of how we actually get there. This whole storyline could easily have been condensed into a 3-minute flashback at the end of the previous.
And it did show what I said, by the way, that was like a futuristic gas lamp and that there was like an oil that was spreading all over. And then it spread to the circuitry. And so it's like, yeah, it's bullshit, but it was at least something. It's not like it magically caught the bricks on fire. There was an oil that was spreading and all that.
Episode, but just like everything else in the Acolyte, it's done purely to eat up screen time and spread a painfully thin story over 8 episodes instead of the 3 or 4 that it actually needs. But hey, who cares? The hypothetical audience this show is written for obviously don't, because they also don't exist. The writers certainly don't, because why should they? They're not interested in Star Wars or working within someone else's framework. All they care about is the story they want to tell, the ideas they want to push, the character characters they want to elevate to godlike status. And if Disney were dumb enough to give them $180 million for a retarded
By the way, that was the best scene, was Torben deflecting the bow and arrow laser bolts or whatever.
fanfic project like this, then I've got no sympathy for them, and neither should you. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Well, I can almost guarantee we'll be using that them all dying instantly clip on streams coming up. Yeah, the only way when you look at this series of what has been the point so far, it has been to show that Jedi will show up, ruin your shit and steal your kids, and the dark side is just misunderstood. It's what they said. There's no such thing as good and evil. It's just power and who's allowed to use it.
The gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you
Not the
bracing
gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the
What the hell is even that?
Anyway, make sure to like, share, and sub if you have done that. Thank you. If you're gonna do that, thank you. And
Well, bye.